The MoneroTopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Exolix, a privacy-focused, non-custodial instant crypto exchange. Go to exolix.com to enjoy secure and completely anonymous swaps with no KYC or sign-up. Swap between Monero and 2,000 plus assets at the most competitive rates and with no limits. Exolix.com, your fast and secure way to privacy.
All right. Good morning. Good morning.
I just want to say real quick, Body, before you do think, JK, man, jump up on stage if you can. You're making some great points. Best way for people. Yeah, he's saying, the best way for people to earn Monero is to sell something for Monero, sell a good or service. That is the best way because you're earning it without KYC. It's peer-to-peer. And then you're also simultaneously building up the Monero peer-to-peer network. You're actually partaking in the network. So it's just a win-win. You're obtaining Monero without KYC, and you're growing the Monero network. So, yeah, JK, please consider jumping up later on.
100%.
Good, buddy.
Totally agree. Yeah. So today I know we kind of covered this a second ago, but let's capture a little bit of it for the official price report. Trump launched a token amidst some kind of get-together gathering with Kraken and other insiders last night. It was kind of a surprise. And he officially launched a Trump coin on Sol, and this thing has gone up to, looks like about 30 billion, almost 30 billion in market cap. It's actually oscillating quite a lot. If we were to drop here down at the 1 minute, you could actually see that this thing within the span of each minute, really within the span of about 5 seconds, this thing is oscillating about like 13% up and down, just up, down, up, down. So yeah, this is pretty funny. Sounds like Tux was able to leverage that. He was in on the action early. I don't know why he didn't share it with everybody and put the alert out. Kept all the gains to himself. But hey, I can't blame you. I mean, look at that. That's only 10,000% up from the launch price. So, yep, everybody hit up obviously hit up Tux for his 10,000x gains. No, I'm just kidding. He was
I definitely made breadcrumbs.
But what did you do? What'd you do it on, Tuck? Just out of curiosity, what do you using these days?
I was just on Dex Screener, and I used whatever swap provider was already on there. It was just Meteora, and I was just using Backpack in the browser because it's a good Solana wallet.
Yeah, I mean that's the way to interact with the shitcoin industry, or if you're going to play with some meme coin nonsense, you do it all in the browser. Like there's no, like, just treat it like a checking account. Don't put your stupid life savings on there, but put some cash on there, trade around, whatever, and then at some point withdraw that to your normal wallet. But it's probably not worth all the trouble to get your hardware wallet and all this other nonsense. But that's at least that's how the people that I know that play in these meme coin markets, that's how they do it. So and it's designed to be run like that. So yeah, I mean, Trump coin kind of making a mockery of our meme coin industry. No, I'm just kidding. It's making a mockery of in general of crypto, which I totally support. Most of crypto is a mockery, so I'm totally down with it, especially since Trump gets inaugurated here on Monday in all of 2 days, launching this meme coin amidst the whole like, oh, we're going to make Bitcoin a strategic reserve. If it makes the maxis angry, I'm good enough with, that makes me happy as well. So let him do that. Let him sort of expose the silliness of what most of crypto is. Totally down with that. If you want to make some money on Trump coin, as the monkeys get wind of what's happening here, more and more are just going to ape into this coin, and it's probably going higher, guys. I mean, he's probably not going to hawk 2 of this coin. He's probably going to let it ride
on Trump.
Body bullish on Trump coin.
Funny to point out that this has single-handedly pumped Sol by 10%.
Yeah, that too.
More than 10%.
Let's go over here to our Z-scores and take a look at the Z-scores.
Can someone just buy me some Trump coin? Can somebody quickly set up a Monero for Trump coin?
Yeah. Someone list an XMR Bazaar for our pooled Trump coin long here.
Oh my God! If I could just send somebody some Monero and get some Trump, then I'll do it.
I got you. Hit me up.
Oh man,
you
can actually see it here on the Z scores. Let's go down to a little bit shorter time.
Doug's feeling some FOMO on the Trump coin.
No, I'm not. I can't participate. It deeply angers me that like I said, I do see some positives at it. Like it's just saying, all right, it's complete. It's the Wild West out there. Everybody do whatever the hell you want to do. But I think it's so as the president of the United, like, why, man, in this position, like with this, with this mandate that you have, you're trying to solve the world's problems, and you go and launch this fucking shitcoin.
Yeah, he's making them all free money.
To me, this does solve a problem, right?
It's a gift.
We have a current problem with over maximalism in the Bitcoin idiocy. So, like, Trump
I like
trolling
that.
in this kind of way,
yeah,
does
unironically a Trump W making a shitcoin.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing that could be better is if he integrates this into the national reserves now, Federal Reserves. That would be hilarious. He just sets the precedent from now on. Each new president launches their own shitcoin that gets integrated. No, that's not going to happen, but it's fun to talk that way. But yeah, as Tux mentioned, you can see here Sol in light blue has actually been outperforming here for the past, for pretty much ever since Trump launched his project on Sol. Yeah, obviously it gives Sol a little bit of a bump. These are Z-scores, so it doesn't tell you exactly like the actual US dollar percentage, but you can just see relative to its own performance over the past 400 hour time frame. Sol has been performing pretty good. Everything else is basically performing about the same. XMR actually had a little bit of a peak here as of the past week. XMR has been performing pretty well. So why don't we just go ahead and go to XMR and take a look at the US dollar price? Yeah, so basically we peaked up here pretty close to actually making it, edging out a slight higher high right at the like 230 range, 235. So that's good. Effectively, we're going to have a little bit of issue getting past, this range right here. But at the moment, overall, the crypto market to me looks like a positive. Right? It looks like the crypto market's going to want to go to the upside here. We'll talk about this later when we look at Bitcoin, especially. But things are starting to set themselves up into another bullish pattern, and that makes sense. Last week, the theme was, markets are kind of on hold until the inauguration, and it seems we're actually looking at a similar kind of situation as with the election. So yeah, we'll talk about that here after we get done talking about Monero. But right now, this is good, right? This is a positive development. We're kind of moving towards the upside again. You could sort of draw a little pleb line right there. It's not prescriptive. It's really just descriptive. Hey, the lows are getting lower, and we're kind of moving towards the upside now. So yeah, this is good. You could maybe even try and draw like a little short-term triangle. So who knows, right? We might have some consolidation here and then pump towards the upside. It could even happen that this is not like a strong pattern right here, guys. So it could even happen that this thing just does this and then pumps here early next week. That could totally happen. So Monero is in a position now where it can finally start to make some pretty good pumpage towards the upside, and I think we would all like to see that. Who doesn't want to see their bags go up, right? We all want to see that. Let's take a look at the longer time frame, actually, just to get a bigger, broader picture of what's happening here. Yeah, I mean, obviously we came up and we sort of had this double top from the last bull market, and we've had to do a lot of legwork to get Monero and get it just noticed out in the world. Hopefully, people are now noticing things better with Monero and saying, "Hey, we have this whole Sailor thing." Oh, we covered that. We already covered that. Yeah. Was it the university thing that we covered? I thought there was like a separate thing where you guys said that Sailor made some sort of mention of Monero, or was that just the Trader University guy? Anyways, let me know whichever one. But actually, we do have a couple. We have a couple XMR chats. I don't know, Tux, if you want to show the XMR chats here on screen real quick, we can cover those. I will wait.
Let me pull those up. We got a couple here. Andrew Collins tipped, "I got the feeling the guy behind Bitcoin University is a bad actor. He talks about the Lightning Network like it's a glorious success. Monero, Roger Ver, and Whitney Webb trigger him big time. Monero Talk is the best podcast of crypto. Thank you." Thank you, Andrew Collins. And Sure Ipser for 2009 tipped, "Why does XMR chat have LTC bad? Does it? I don't know.
Really?
I don't really care. I don't really use Litecoin."
No, we added a way for people to, eventually, hopefully, they'll be able to tip in any crypto, and then it gets auto-transacted swapped into Monero. So obviously, ideal situation is people are tipping in Monero, but if somebody wants to go tip in Dogecoin, they could pay a fee and auto-swap, and it gets sent to the receiver, always in Monero.
Okay. Oh, that's reasonable. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I think that could improve adoption.
Yeah. Yeah, why not, right? I mean, they'll have to pay the fee, and then that also becomes a way to, a revenue model for the, XMR check, right? Because everything is peer to peer. Otherwise, if you're using Monero, so if you want to exchange, if you want to use your shitcoin, and then it's a benefit to the receiver because they're still anonymously receiving.
They're still getting Monero. Yeah.
Monero. Right?
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea. And I mean, this is what Nano GPT does. They have like support, like kind of more native support for a lot of other coins besides Nano, but at the back end, it just gets swapped for Nano anyway. So that's a nice. Sorry, Body, continue.
No, it's fine. I think Shortwave actually has one more. He bought a Majestic node on XMR Bazaar.
He hasn't. Another super chat. I don't see it.
It's right below where he asked, why does XMR chat have LTC?
I don't see it on my screen. Must be a bug.
Oh, okay, I'll just call it out here. Shortwave Surfer 2009 tip 25 cents. He says, I bought a Meshtastic node on XMR Bazaar. So thank you, Shortwave.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, Shortwave, jump up. I know you normally do. Jump up. I want to learn more about the Meshtastic things anyway.
Meshtastic. Okay. Yeah, that's weird that it's not showing up for you guys where I can see it here on xmrchat.com. Oh well. Anyways, we press on ahead here with price going towards the upside price report. So at the moment, guys, it's possible that this big blow off top right here wasn't entirely real, right? It's possible that was partially that price was partially managed to move up during the last bull market. And it is possible that we could get a little bit of a blow off, a little bit of extra exuberance for Monero, right? We could have another thing where eventually price kind of makes a triple top here and then sort of does this thing, right? Like just looking long term, that's a way that it could play out. If we get a lot of attention and people moving into Monero, maybe we finally get the release of the full chain membership proofs, right? And charts like this, technical analysis, tea leaves, pleb lines, patterns can't tell you when something like that is just going to break towards the upside because there's so much fundamental pressure. So at the moment, I wouldn't say that we're seeing that kind of massive fundamental pressure that's going to break that 500 area and then skyrocket us to the 1,000, 2,000 area, on a longer term basis. But anything can happen, right? Anything can happen here with price and with attention. And the masses can catch up sometimes just really, really quick. And we are seeing a little bit of that. So we go here to the Monero transactions, the daily transactions. We shot up here to the 45,000 range. And then we're kind of seeming to be centering around that 30,000 range again, which is really good. Because if we go back here, we could do something like go to down here. You can look at the simple moving average. And I like to look at the 30-day moving average here on the transactions, but you can see here, over a long period of time, our transactions have been going up and up and up. Lately, for the last bull market or so, right, we finally broached that 20,000 moving average, sort of oscillated around that, and we're now trying to push our way again here, back above 30,000 average transactions. So we're still in the 25,000 range. We really to show like growth, kind of year on year, bull market on bull market growth. We really need to bust above this range right here and consistently perform at above 30, getting to 40,000 transactions. That would make me a lot more comfortable in terms that, hey, we are showing growth. We are showing that more people are using Monero. And that's kind of like a general reflection of, okay, if there's more people using it, if there's more transactions, that means there's more people buying it, and there should be more market cap pressure towards the upside. So that's one way that you could look at this chart. Overall, though, you can see that, we basically have for quite a long period of time since really we could probably say since the middle of summer or the beginning of summer in 2023, we've been steady between 20 and 30,000 transactions or more, right? With the big spike here, that was kind of that was a little bit of the black ball attack, or we're not quite sure exactly what that was, but we kind of have to pull this out of here a little bit because that wasn't entirely organic transactions, most likely. But everything else here looks really good, right? So that's just to say that, hey, long term, the transactions are growing. We still need a lot more people in Monero. We still need a lot more people using Monero. And it's unfortunate, that we still have to fight so hard to get that attention when, like, most people that have been in crypto for more than a few years, they know that Monero is the real deal. And only like salty assholes like Trader University, who's probably who is probably some kind of nefarious entity or some kind of like maxi bags entity trying to lead people astray effectively. Oh yeah, and of course, obviously, getting rid of the simple moving average, going back to the raw values. Yeah, obviously, there's only about 10 people every day using Monero, as he talked about. So unfortunately, your anonymity set is really, really low. It's only like 30,000 people per day. Oh my God, that's so low. What a fucking scumbag. The guy won't even look at the daily transaction counts. Then he's like, oh, well, if only 10 people are using it. Like, he knows what he's doing. He knows he's being a dishonest piece of shit. And he will, he's got to deal with that. That's on his own karma, right? He's going to have to deal with that at some point in his life, or some other time later. So anyways, yeah. Okay. So here's like, things are looking positive. It doesn't mean we're going up tomorrow, but it does look like, this is generally turning out to be a positive kind of looking formation. We could need some chop here and then move towards the upside, or hypothetically, we could just start going towards the upside if Monero follows along with the rest of the crypto market. We are looking at XMR BTC, also having some kind of consistent performance here as well. You could take a look at this line right there, and that's basically kind of the support line that we've had for since November of last year, and XMR BTC has sort of been using that as a support line on the way up. So yeah, this thing at this moment, this thing looks like it could be shooting to get to this area. So right, that would be the 0.0002 level. I multiply by 1,000 just so that we're not dealing with too many stupid decimal points here on the right. So just know that these are in thousandths of XMR BTC units. So yeah, I mean, it's good. We're finally like stabilizing here. I would say, as more time goes on here, this looks more and more like stabilization. We're going to have to be careful. Maybe Bitcoin decides to pump solo here, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think more or less alts are going to keep up with Bitcoin here going forward, more or less, right? With that, let's actually go to the Bitcoin, the larger crypto chart here. And all right, so here's Bitcoin on the 4-hour. As we talked about for some period of time, said, hey, we're going to be a little bit constrained by the standard deviation bands here. So the top of these blue bands, which the top line is right there, actually starting to curl up, and then the bottom there. One thing that happened on Monday, actually, if we go to the daily, this looks actually a lot more clear. Sorry, dang it, charts do that sometimes. Let's actually get rid of the wave magic. Sometimes these charts take too long to actually, no, this was better on the 4-hour. I don't know why I switched time frames, but anyways, one of the things that was kind of clear here that happened on Monday. So this thing looked like it was about to break down, right? You had this like big drop off, and then it immediately recovered. That's a very common kind of like wick washout pattern. And then things start to move to the upside. Like that was, if you're a short-term trader, that's exactly the kind of thing you're looking for, to say, oh crap, that was a good washout wick. And this is also a trick that a lot of traders will tell you, like when you're thinking about taking a position, stop. Think about, if you took that position, where would you set your stop loss? Like, let's suppose you wanted to go long, right? Because you're like, hey, here we're at the bottom of the standard deviation bands. Why don't we take a long? You might say, okay, well, where would I set my stop loss? Well, I might set my stop loss right there, and then say, okay, instead of taking a long here, put a buy order at where you think your stop loss should otherwise be for this trade, because that's where a lot of the market makers and liquidity providers are going to search to wipe your liquidity out. It's a very common thing. It happens in aggregate, and especially in crypto being the wild, wild west. They can see the order books. They know where your stop losses are. The insiders do, at least. And they say that, no, we're so honest, but fuck them. They're not. Somebody can see that, and somebody is leveraging that. So like, just know that that's how that game is played. Anyways, the point is here that Bitcoin is really starting to set up, as we talked earlier, it's starting to set up in a bullish scenario here. And this looks a lot to me like what was happening with the election. So if we go back, let's go back here a ways. Okay, so here's the election. And we were saying that at the time we were saying, hey, this actually is looking, starting to look like a somewhat bullish pattern. Maybe we should go to the 12-hour here. Sorry, this is going to take a little bit slow. It's going to be painful to scroll. We'll get there. Trust me, we'll get there. Okay. So yeah, one thing that we were saying here is that going into the election, Bitcoin was starting to set up fairly bullish. We were starting to notice this kind of like bullish this bullish nature of this chart. And obviously that's because Trump was about to get elected. People were getting pretty confident that he was about to get elected. And I know this is a little bit of a messy chart here in terms of the wave magic, but effectively, the things pumped towards the upside, the election happened, and then things continued pumping towards the upside. And I think that's what we're looking at here for the inauguration on a little bit of a smaller kind of time scale, right? So that was the daily. We're dropping into the 4 hour. I know that's a little bit slightly confusing. I didn't have time to make that chart look pretty for you, but effectively, we are now seeing these upper standard deviation bands are starting to curl up again. Things are riding here at the top side. I think that as long as Trump doesn't do anything retardedly bearish, right, as he gets into office, most likely this is going to be the impetus to send the markets towards the upside. I think that things have been waiting for him to get towards the upside. I think people have been holding their breath about as whether or not the DOJ was going to sell off that 6 billion Bitcoin. I didn't see any news headlines that they did sell off that 6 billion from Jimmy Zong. So maybe they're still holding it, right? And certainly this doesn't look like $6 billion of Bitcoin was sold onto the market, but maybe they did sell it in an OTC deal, but I don't think that has been reported. But anybody feel free to get on in here, just correct me if there is actual official news in that regard. So yeah, I mean, again, bullish. This thing looks bullish to me. It's been hard for me to believe that this was the top of the market at this moment here. So going down to the Bitcoin dominance here at this moment, Bitcoin dominance, the volatility has been dropping off, right? So volatility dropping here. The peaks are getting lower. The dips are getting higher, right? So at some point, I believe that this thing is probably going to break towards the downside. I would probably be looking for something from the SEC. There's going to be a new SEC chair. Perhaps they even drop some of these cases, right? Perhaps they settle out of court, or they drop some, not out of, well, yeah, I guess out of court. Perhaps they settle with a lot of these guys, or drop some of these bigger cases. You're going to see shitcoins individually popping off one after the other, especially the bigger ones that are still in litigation. So if you're the DGen type of news watcher or an AI bot type of person, you could set your AI bots to be scraping the SEC websites for official announcements, be scraping the websites of the various crypto projects that you might be looking at picking up. And once that news drops, bam, you get that AI notice, right? You get that notice that, hey, an important news thing is dropped, a case has been dropped, etc. And it's time to get long, right? So you can get in that position if you're the kind of person that you're at your desk a lot, you're at your computer, maybe you do your work online, and you can just get that notification, switch over context really quick, and then buy that shitcoin that you've been waiting on, right? Now is the time to be able to leverage that kind of opportunity. If you can leverage that, I say go for it. There's really good opportunity here as some new SEC chair comes in, and as the sea change happens there. Okay, so that's another impetus that I would think that to look here for Bitcoin dominance to drop. And we could be looking here, guys, at bull market in earnest, right? Ready to go, bull market, time to go to the upper regression boundary, time for shitcoins to perform massively, time for this thing to start dropping. We are in the window that could now happen, right? So keep that in mind, depending on what your trading style is, depending on what kind of assets you buy. Obviously, everyone here only buys Monero ever and doesn't ever buy anything like Xano. Obviously, you can only buy Xano. In my mind, I've sold all my Monero already because JW in turn told me to sell my Monero and my WoW for Xano, which is what I've done. So obviously, this chart, I'm just supporting the liquidity here, and it's about to pump towards the upside. Just kidding. Obviously, all of that's just bullshit. Anyways, so yeah, we're gonna take a break here and take a look at our privacy altcoins here. Daro, lol, Daro dropping. Gonna continue to drop. Daro's next target here is their all-time low. Sorry, bye Daro. Pirate Chain's probably gonna look for another pump here. They look like they want to set up. Somebody, it looks to me, decided hey, let's make sure that we psychologically set the level. We prevent it from going any further than this, and let's try and move it towards the upside. We don't want to look like we're round tripping all the way down here again. So I mean, there could be some organic buying there. There's the TDV, TDC, Mexico guys, and the Jeff Berwick guys or whatever, that are all about the pirate coin. Not all of them, but some of them are vehemently about pirate coin. pirate chain, whatever. Okay, so this thing's probably going to find its way up to the top side here at some point in the coming weeks to months. It'll find another pump. Don't be an idiot. Once it pumps, just sell your bags. Be happy that you got a good trade. Everyone's looking for that like 100x, 1000x that happened again on pirate chain that happened last time. And I wouldn't guess that it's probably coming. Maybe it will. Firo, interestingly, headed towards the downside. Monero's been pumping. Firo has been kind of dumping here for the past week. So I don't know what's going on with these guys, but they've lost like 20% here. Okay, whatever. I really don't like play with the privacy shitcoins all that much. Xano seems to be taking some kind of a break. It does seem to have broken its like primary, short-term bullish bands, uptrending, wave magic bands here. So that's fine, whatever. It could just need some time to consolidate here before it wants to make another upside movement. I think other people, they might have realized now that there's Beam, that you can also kind of issue these assets on Beam. So although Beam hasn't necessarily done too much in terms of positive motion, but yeah, it's just something to think about here. Again, Xano probably has some upside here overall, like on the bull market. But again, it's like the real magic is going to be private smart contracts. And I really have to believe that a guy like MoneroTopia isn't just blowing smoke up our asses, that we are going to see DarkFi at some point hit the streets here, and that people are going to actually start releasing stuff on it. So, yep, that's what we're looking at for the privacy coins. That's what we're looking at here for Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance. Let's go ahead and go over here to the macro.
Hey, you want to take over a look at Litecoin real quick while you're still on the cryptos? Litecoin had some ETF news recently and pumped a lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's go to my quad chart. LTC. It's good crypto. LTC USD. Let's put that on. Let's go to, yeah, we are on logarithmic. Yeah, okay, so Litecoin actually did here pump pretty good the past few days. This is not a bad chart pattern, I would say. Litecoin is basically exploring some very long, let's go to the weekly. Or, yeah, the weekly's fine. Yeah, so basically Litecoin is exploring these very long kind of capping bands here, but it does look a lot like it's headed on its way up. It does look like it wants to try and eventually break those. So how much did it actually pump here this week? It went from down there to about there. Wow, Litecoin pumped 50% this week.
Yeah, like in a day it was like 40%.
People use it. It's like Bcash, people use it. And to the extent that crypto is usable as some kind of money, I'm kind of okay with that. I really don't like Litecoin in the sense that I don't like how it was launched. I don't like Charlie Lee, and I don't like these corporatized interlinked coins, but people actually use it to move value. So, okay, you're pwning your privacy equally to Bitcoin. Like it's optional privacy. And it's who knows whether or not Mimblewimble can even be unwound. There's a big question over that in my mind. I don't know why anyone would use Litecoin over Monero for private transactions, but people still do, and it's integrated into a lot of places. So I guess I still have to admit I occasionally use Litecoin when I can't get Monero liquidity on some platform that I need to interact with. But
yeah, I totally agree with that, and that's kind of how I look at it. It's like, okay, it's not, like, why would I use it over Monero? I wouldn't. But if I can't actually use Monero, well, Litecoin's very, very fast and cheap as a way to swap in and out to vendors that do take Litecoin and not Monero. Because Litecoin, it's a lot of places except Litecoin. So
yeah, it definitely did a good job marketing itself as the sort of alternative, faster, cheaper to Bitcoin, which is kind of funny. That's sort of the market that the Bcash guys wanted to occupy, but I think just the overlap of marketing there on Bcash, that just serves them so terribly. And the psychology of it all, that all the Bitcoin forks have they basically all failed, like quote unquote failed.
Yeah.
No, Bcash hasn't failed. Like the network still runs, it still works, but it's just the trust that people don't trust it. People have this like, oh, you guys supported fake Satoshi. And so just this negative stigma. And it's hard for me to think that's ever going to really be overcome. And personally, I just can't find any good reason to use it. Like I could just use something else almost every time. If I want contracts, I'll go to ETH or Sol, or stable coins or whatever. And if I want quick liquidity in and out to some platform, Litecoin seems to do that job pretty well as well. So anyways, whatever. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to shit on Litecoin or Bcash too much or anything, but I know we got a lot of Bcash guys in the chat and on the show. That's just kind of the reality, guys. Like that's just how the reality of how the markets tend to see Bcash. So on a longer term basis, not that long basis I
feel like there was some frustration recently when the Bcashers saw Roger Ver talking about Monero and Xano, mentioning Monero and Xano on the interview he did with Tucker Carlson, and I don't think he mentioned Bitcoin Cash.
Oh, he didn't, did he? Yeah, maybe he's
so
pivoted.
There was like everybody was like, oh, they were panicking over there. I mean, Roger Ver has always been a big Monero guy, along with, when he started Bitcoin Cash. I mean, I'm fairly certain he was already in Monero for quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of the guys that he buys any new coins that come out that have any kind of any wings at all. He just buys them all. I get the impression that he basically buys everything, and so then whenever he's been on interviews, I always see him be like, "Well, I bought some, and I like the project, and and I think it should just be a free market of all the coins trying to compete." Okay, sure,
exactly.
Nobody disagrees with that. But yeah, it was kind of weird to hear him talk about Xano when he went on Alex. So Tucker Carlson, I was like, wow, it's like Monero, a couple other coins, and Monero. But when he was on Alex Jones, it was like, and I like these other coins like Xano, and then Monero. And I was like, well, okay. And then it came out, the Xano guys informed us that he was in on some kind of action, some OTC action there with them. So it's like, oh, okay,
he's definitely an early Xano guy.
Yeah. So he's, I mean, obviously, he's trying to shill his Xano bags a little bit. And I mean, that's, man, I hate
doesn't
to
help
say
the
it,
legitimacy of the project.
Say again?
Well, I mean, the thing about Xano is the play with Xano is if you think the reason why Xano could go up, not so much that it's like we talk about it from a tech perspective, is it doing something interesting, but the fact that Roger Ver is involved in it, right? So he'll get it on exchanges, he'll get it listed on larger exchanges, things like that. He's gonna, that's why Xano might continue to go up.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. You've got Roger behind the project now, trying to do some promotion. Honestly, it's weird to me that he should have just fucking billions and billions and billions. So like, why do you need to why wouldn't you take a more neutral stance towards the coins, bro? Like,
because
why do you need to buy new
There's
coins
very
and
few
shill
people,
this
man.
shit?
Yeah, there's very few people we've seen that are aren't just putting like money first. At the end of the day.
It is so weird to me. Like, after you've got enough billions, can't you just try and like promote things from the technological basis as strongly as you can, and not like go buy a bag of some privacy coin because you think privacy coins are the next big thing, the next big hit this bull market? Like, could you please just?
I would give Roger Ver some in his thinking, right? Like maybe you would think of it different, but I see where he's like, his argument is, right? Because he's like pure capitalist. Let the best tech win, and I think he's not claiming to know who the winner is, right? So it's like, why not? Why aren't I allowed to, also invest in, Bitcoin Cash and in addition to Monero or
you're
Xano,
allowed,
right?
of course.
No, but I'm saying like his thinking is like he doesn't see it as taking away from. He's just not a maximalist, right? He's just a crypto maximalist, like not knowing which is going to win and what good aspects may come from which crypto, right?
Well, that's why I've pivoted to being a Trump coin maxi.
What's that?
You've done a good job of describing why I pivot now to being a Trump coin maxi. I just don't know which one's going to win, bro. It's capitalism.
I mean, what was Roger Ver too, man? He was, one thing nobody could ever take away from the guy is the amount of like investment he made into the crypto sphere, right? Yeah. Including like Monero itself, right? I'm sure, by being an early Monero guy, he probably pumped that project up in the beginning, right? And then, he was associated with I think even Coinbase. He was one of the early Coinbase investors. For better or worse,
he's a mixed
right?
bag to me. Like, I got to tip my hat and give some respect to what he did early on in the ecosystem and promoting the ecosystem and helping to fund the projects and build out a lot of the stuff that was needed. There have been mistakes along the way, right? So he's a mixed bag. But all right, onward. Oh, you know what? We have a couple. I think we have one XMR chat. So let's go ahead and Let's get Orange Man on the screen.
Let's do it here. Here you go. Oh.
Orange Man tip 25 cents. Can local physical crypto buy, sell, trade services be listed on XMR Bazaar, or is that against the terms of service?
If it's legal in your jurisdiction, you can do it. It's peer-to-peer.
There you go.
If it's legal for you to, sell Monero peer-to-peer for cash where you live, you could put up an ad for that.
Nice.
If it's legal for you to, exchange Monero for some other crypto in your jurisdiction, peer-to-peer, you could do it. Where you might get in trouble is if you start to appear as though you're doing it for a business. So that is not legal in many jurisdictions. It's not legal here in the U.S. But even here in the U.S., it's perfectly legal peer-to-peer to say, I got some Monero, but I need some Dogecoin right now. If you're in the business of exchanging cryptos for each other, or especially if you're in the business of exchanging cash for crypto or crypto for cash, and you're doing it as a business, in the U.S., you're going to get in trouble. Maybe in some other part of the world, you may not. But yeah, if you're just doing it peer to peer, out of a need, even here in the U.S., you can get away with that, as far as I understand, right? I mean, this is not legal advice. Once again, you have to do what's legal in your jurisdiction. But my understanding is that is legal in most jurisdictions here in the U.S.
That is also my understanding. So.
Yes.
Yep, buy and sell away or whatever, but you do have that word services in there. So yeah, just be careful. If you're going one way, so yeah, just be really careful with that, because that's how a lot of it's insane. Over the past 15 years, that is how a lot of bros have gotten just totally pwned. They're doing it as a service. They get hit up by the government. Hey, by the way, you're doing this as a service. You're going to jail now, and we're going to take your money. So that's what they've done. Just be aware of the risks that you're facing there if you determine to do that as a service. Probably, if you're going to do it as a service, just don't do it on XMR Bazaar. There's no reason to bring that kind of heat on the exchange anyways.
I would not recommend that.
If you need to make a swap,
if you're there to just sell some Monero for some cash, but you're not in the business of doing it.
Here's a good way. Are you selling it for spot? Or are you marking it up, right? Are you taking a 5% profit margin on that? Well, now you might be a service, right? That's probably a good litmus test. If you're just doing it for spot and you're making no profit, it's hard to say that you're a business at that point. So anyways,
exactly.
Onward. Let's go with let's finish up here with Litecoin. Yeah, Litecoin, on a technical analysis sense, this thing looks like it could easily do one of these things. Kind of like Monero, actually. It looks very similar to Monero. And in fact, my guess is here, if I looked at a bunch of different altcoins, a lot of them are going to have this kind of pattern here and I remember when we left off a few weeks ago here, I remember thinking, yeah, damn, like over Christmas, I remember thinking, damn, everything is kind of at the top of their long-term standard deviation bands. Like so many different altcoins were doing that. And I was thinking, yeah, things aren't quite ready here, probably according to the wave magic, but we are starting to hit that point where they might be getting ready. So there's no reason why things have to take time to break this now. I think enough time has been dwelt here at the top of these standard deviation band ranges to start breaking them towards the upside as early as next week. So that doesn't mean it is going to happen next week. It could take time until Trump gets some new SEC head, until they start like putting out the news that's going to make it happen, right? So maybe could still be a few weeks here. But I think that we are looking at the window is opening here for alt season to truly begin. All right, so let's go to the macro and then we'll call it a day. Let's start with Yellen. Yellen said something that we all love to hear. She said that the U.S. is going to hit the debt limit on Tuesday. Oh, gasp, everybody hold your faces. And she advised that the Treasury start extraordinary measures as that debt ceiling gets hit. So I'm sure that there's no accident there and there's no theater of political machinations going on where they're going to hit the debt ceiling. They're going to hit the debt ceiling right as Trump comes into office, and he's going to have to clean swamp and fix some things. And probably, I thought they eliminated the debt ceiling. Like I thought they said, nope, it doesn't exist anymore. Didn't they do that? Like, am I just like Mandela effect here, remembering wrong or some shit? I thought that Congress said that there's no more such thing as a debt ceiling, but anyways, they're Apparently they're hitting it.
I can't keep up with the latest psyop, man. I don't know.
So I don't know. Something's going to happen. Probably it'll involve printing a shitload of money. Big surprise. I'm sure everyone is totally surprised by that. Okay, yeah. So here's the dollar index. Still basically has the upward trend. Although you could see here with our little line has now been broken. Oh wait, no, I do this. No, it's on regular. Okay, yeah. I don't know. We could probably drag the line out here. Yeah. So this again, pleb lines are like they're kind of like these eyeballish areas, and hypothetically we could try and drop this into some sort of regression analysis to make the best defined line possible that we could do to define the support of the dollar index. Just use your eyeballs, guys, and just know that it's like not totally scientific, but slightly scientific, maybe. So yeah, dollar index is still like doing this thing where it's pretty strong. Overall this week, it had a little bit of a pullback, and then, flat, pretty much overall flat from last week. So it's still looking pretty good, pretty strong. Reverse repos are now basically back on their trend, their downtrend after we saw the whole spiky thing over the New Year's. So again, I mean, just keep in mind, guys, that's still $118 billion of money parked with the Fed that could still do this number here and go into stocks and go into risk to pump risk assets, right? $118 billion of liquidity is no small amount. Although I think the LA fires now are up to about 250 billion. I want to say the damage, 250 billion. So $250 billion of damage in LA. I think the fires are finally starting to get under control. There's still work to be done there. A lot of shit's still burning, but I think they're past like the most difficult point. So, yeah, that's going to play a lot. Something's going to happen there. Some kind of bill, some kind of decision, some kind of money printing decision is going to be made with regards to LA. That'll also help stock markets pump, right, as that money begins to be put to use. Okay, gold right here. We talked about, hey, gold is looking like the volatility has been dropping off, and it's going to get ready to make another move here at some point. And right now, it definitely looks like gold is kind of doing here what crypto has done, right? It's moving up towards the top of these top of its range, right? You can see the peaks, the previous peaks there. We are making higher lows. Almost kind of looks like Monero, a similar chart as Monero has been doing as well, making higher lows. And probably, if the markets are going to pounce, they're going to go to the upside, then probably gold is setting up here for another move towards the upside as well, right? It's going to make another move towards that 2,800 level, which was its previous all-time high. It's really not that far from where we're at now. What would that be? About, 3%? Okay, yeah. So gold could resume its bull market in earnest here at some point as well. Starting to look like that time could be coming soon. So, all right, good for gold holders. At some point, that's going to have to peak out. I don't think we're quite at that point just yet. Let's see what else in the macro. Let's take a look at the bonds. Yeah, so bonds, the yield curve continues to uninvert. Although this week, if you look down here, we actually had a slight tick downwards on the inversion. So, but I mean, the yield curve is basically fully uninverted now at this point. Yeah, we had the rates, the long end of the yield curve, the long-term rates, the 10, 30, 20 year, all massively pumped towards the upside. They've had a little bit of a pullback here. We'll have to be curious. I think the Federal Reserve has a meeting. Is it next week? Let's see. That's the BLS. Do I not have that? Oh, here we go. Federal Reserve has FOMC meeting on the 28th. Oh, okay. So not next week, but the week after that. So, but I mean, guys, they're going to bring rates down probably. Maybe they'll hold them flat. I don't know. I got to look at what the market thinks about this one because I don't know what the Fed's going to do. They do have the question mark now a little bit over the whether the inflation rate is going to get worse, is going to get sticky. We're hovering here around 3%. They want to get down to 2%. Hypothetically, if markets pump too much, maybe this thing could start coming towards the upside. I don't know. Usually if markets are pumping hardcore, inflation's not going to take off because everyone wants to be in the market. But okay, whatever. S&P, NASDAQ have been flat this week. Like we've talked about, numerous times here, week after week. This line right here is a massively long, 100 years long line that goes all the way back to 1929. This line is not going to be just broken so easily. So it makes sense that the S&P for the past few months has been oscillating at this line. It's not going to easily be broken, although it's probably going to get broken, guys. Let's be real. Like they're just going pretty parabolic with the way they do the money printing. So, yeah, at some point this probably will get broken. Maybe it won't stay broken for a period of time, but yeah, I mean, for now, It looks like the S&P and the NASDAQ are still on hold. I think the name of the game here, largely as the inauguration happens, is crypto. I think that's where the attention is going to be focused. At some point, probably stock markets will follow. Maybe everything will go up together. I don't know. But yeah, so that's what the markets look like today. Let's take a look here in case we missed anything. I don't think we did miss anything. Nothing. Yeah, that's fine. That's good enough for now. Let me take a look at the comments. Does Bowdy have any interest in physical platinum as well? I guess, bro. Listen, I look at gold as more like, I don't like the alternative metals, to be honest. Unless you want to trade them, I don't like the alternative metals all that much. Mostly because I look at gold as my reserves, and that's how you should look at gold. Occasionally, it has the opportunity to get reevaluated significantly higher relative to the rest of the market, and occasionally, once every couple decades, that happens. Other than that, gold is basically just kind of treading water with inflation, and it's the kind of thing that if things go to shit, that 5 or 10% that you use as your reserves might become, 80% of your stack if things really go to shit. But otherwise, like, gold should be looked at as reserves, and it should be looked at as a place that you store value, as a place marker for your period of time where you're looking for how you're going to deploy capital. So you might ride the bear market out in gold, right? Like in 2022, but then you're going to look to redeploy that capital in a bull market because you want to get the yield. So far, this bull market, gold has been doing quite good, and I think overall just keeping up with stocks. So in this case, gold has kind of acted quite good as an investment. But in general, I'm not really too keen on silver and platinum, all this other stuff. They're less liquid. They're harder to sell, right? You want to hold a bunch of physical platinum in your backyard. You're going to have a much harder time selling that physical platinum anywhere on Earth. But in gold, basically anywhere on Earth that has a population of above 500,000, a city with a population of over 500,000, there's a gold bullion dealer somewhere around the corner, probably just 100,000, 200,000 people. So yeah, I'm not huge on that stuff. That doesn't mean that maybe it doesn't have a place for the people that really want to play with that. But personally, I'm just not, it's not my thing.